Hey guys, today I want to talk a bit about calisthenics, specifically what kind of equipment you really need in order to build muscle in calisthenics. So, starting out simple, wrist wraps. Now, right now, it's quite embarrassing because I've been doing calisthenics for a while. I still cannot hold a handstand for maybe more than 5 seconds. So, a lot of my training sessions now have maybe half an hour of just repetitively trying a handstand, failing it, and then trying it again. Results in about 40 or 50 attempts, basically. And after a while, I noticed that my wrist, being like this, it starts hurting, and I get wrist pain when I'm doing handstands. With wrist wraps, it did help remove it, but not completely eliminate it. So for that sort of thing, if you're training handstand, for example, I think what's really useful, it's not necessarily imperative wrist wraps, but what's useful is warming up. So next one would be elbow sleeves. So me personally, being now doing the iron cross, then training that, but especially when I was learning the muscle up, elbow sleeves are what helped me deal with the elbow pain that I got. Now, doing things like elbow lever, push-ups, and muscle-ups, I always developed elbow pain after a few sets. Whether that was because of the stress on my tendons themselves or whatever else it could be, I don't know. But even warming up, I would always end up with that pain, especially when I was doing slow muscle ups. So getting elbow sleeves really helped eliminate that pain almost completely, in fact. And I think that for anyone who's doing muscle ups, dips, for example, as well, anything where your elbows are in a locked position, I think that elbow sleeves are a great tool, really. Then you have the venerable chalk. So I really only started using chalk when I started climbing, which was maybe 1 month ago, 2 months ago, a little while ago now. When I started really getting into climbing, I bought chalk, just because everyone does, for grip and everything. And now, when I go train, I cannot go without my chalk. I have a chalk bag right over there, and every time I go to the Cali Park or just to the gym or climbing, I always take my chalk. Climbing for me, chalk. Chalk for me was really a game changer because I would no longer be scared or discouraged to do pull-ups, for example, anything on the bars. Now, usually when you do pull-ups, your hands get sweaty, and then after a while, it just starts hurting. You get calluses like these. It's just not nice. So, a lot of people, they just wipe their hands on their clothes or whatever else, but that's a short-term solution. And oftentimes, half a second later, their hands are completely wet. Afterwards, again, source me. That happened to me quite a bit, which was quite honestly really discouraging to do any sort of pulling exercises on the bars, because every time I gripped onto it, a few seconds later, my hands would get sweaty and I would just start slipping. Now, while that does work wonders for your grip strength, it's not good for your skin in the long run, because wet skin gets damaged faster than dry skin. And I think that effectively buying chalk is really a sort of hack to developing better strength on the bars and the rings as well. It's not only for climbing, it's also for calisthenics. For me, having tried both liquid chalk and dry chalk, I've always found that dry chalk was much more comfortable for me. Because liquid chalk, you can apply it maybe as a base layer, but after 1 or 2 reps, it's all gone. And on top of that, if you have any sort of cuts on your palms or anything, most liquid chalks, you can't apply them. They get unsanitary and all of that. On the other hand, dry chalk is such a neutral substance that, in theory, you can ingest it in small amounts. Though, please don't do that, because that would be very bad for you, and you could die. Anyways, chalk, for me, absolutely indispensable. And to anyone doing anything with bars or training like that, calisthenics, I would a million times encourage them to get some sort of chalk. This was $13 or $16 on Amazon for 300 grams, and it works wonders. So for me, that was really a game changer. Then we move on to perhaps one of the most popular calisthenics training equipment, and what I started on, Parallettes. I did not start on these. These are the Gornation Pro Maxes. They're very big ones, but they're also quite expensive and not necessarily needed for someone starting calisthenics. For 3 years, the only Parallettes I had were €20 crappy plastic Parallettes that I bought from just a store, from Decathlon. I just went there, I saw them, and I was like, okay, I need Parallettes, I'll grab those. So I did, and honestly, it really changes everything. When you're in a push-up position, you put a lot of pressure on your wrists. Not having wrist wraps yet, that was a problem for me. My wrists would start to hurt after a while. After getting Parallettes, that didn't happen anymore. That didn't happen at all. So I think that really changed a lot of things for me. Parallettes, especially higher Parallettes like these, they allow you to start training skills like the tuck planche, advanced tuck planche, L-sit, handstand. They allow you to start learning those tricks much faster. Because usually, if you're doing them with just your hands, even with wrist straps, you only have maybe 10 attempts. If you have good wrists before your wrists start hurting and you have to slow down or maybe do another time. So, Parallettes, because instead of just being like this with your wrists, you're actually holding the Parallette instead, the pressure is distributed. And because it is, it has a lot more stress on your wrist because your wrist can be in a much more neutral position like this rather than being completely flat. So for me, Parallettes are another 10 out of 10. Like chalk, I would absolutely recommend them to anyone starting their calisthenics journey. So the next one, resistance bands. Now resistance bands, this one was maybe $10, I don't know. You can get a whole pack for very cheap on just a random website like Amazon, for example. And they are great for reducing the load on your muscles when you're doing exercises and getting skills without having the necessary strength yet. For a lot of people, doing their first pull-up is something that they struggle with, something that they're working on, and people get intimidated by resistance bands because they see people stepping into them. They get worried, hey, what if that's going to come up and hit me? I'm going to be honest, first few times they very well might. But if you know how to use them properly, and that's to say respect the power of the band, right? You put them on the middle of your feet if you're stepping into it, for example, and you put both feet in, very important. They're not going to come back up and, hit you in the not nice places. And they're perfectly suitable for learning things like pull-ups, iron cross, especially muscle-ups, for example, because they teach you to keep your body in a stable position. You can't just go swinging around and kipping when you're using a band. And they make it so that you can do a pull-up when you don't have the strength to do a pull-up yet. And then you can slowly load more and more of your weight by using less and less powerful bands, or vice versa. So I think for me, bands, a really great tool to getting started in calisthenics. Now onto something that I think is actually quite important. Rings. Any advanced calisthenics athlete will tell you that rings are the key to achieving stability for every single exercise in calisthenics. You can do a planche, try doing it on rings. You can do a muscle up, try doing it on rings. Dips, rings, push-ups, rings. You can go back and forth with this all day. Rings force your body to adapt, to become more stable. When you put people on the rings for the first time, they're flailing around, they can't stay on it properly. The only way, rings are really one of the only effective ways to get stronger at an exercise without just loading more weight, for example. Should also be noted that rings allow you to do complex movements and exercises where you're moving a lot and you need your grip to move very smoothly. For example, the iron cross or Maltese or anything like that. So for me, rings absolutely, well, not necessarily needed, but they develop a lot of muscle. And if you're serious about your calisthenics journey and you have somewhere to hang them up, I would get rings. You can get a good pair for maybe 30 or 40 bucks, just because they make it that much more challenging, and in my experience it really helps you develop that strength that you need to achieve those skills. So that's it. That is all of the calisthenics equipment that I own, and my opinions on them, whether you need them or not. I think the really notable ones are the chalk, definitely, and the Parallettes. It's a very easy sport to get into, but again, the one thing about calisthenics, while it's very easily accessible for people to start, you can just do it on your floor, you can get Parallettes for 20 bucks, whatever. You need to stay disciplined, and you need to keep pushing it, because that's the only way to reliably build muscle. So, thank you for watching. There'll be more soon. I might upload a muscle up tutorial or something, or maybe progressions for pull-ups and things. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned.